Hey everyone, I'm Luco here. Let's continue on with our DBZ What If I Was Reborn as a Saiyan and What If Parks was Reborn as a Namekian. Now, in the last part, we finished up the Namek saga, completely and utterly defeating Frieza and making sure he doesn't even get to Earth by atomizing him. When King Cold heads to Earth, that's where Trunks finishes him off. He explains the entire situation and gives Goku the medicine. However, it's not needed because I made the wish early ahead of time to make sure Goku is immune to all these diseases and viruses. So he wouldn't have taken the medicine anyways, and this is just an easier way to handle things. Now, if you're wondering why future Trunks is here in this timeline, it's because we're the outlying factors, not the direct effect like Cell, who's from the DBZ universe, who just came back in time, much like Trunks. And then we get to the next part, a special part. Trunks, before leaving, I decide to give him an extra special gift. I gather around the other Saiyans and we perform the Super Saiyan God ritual on him as well. This would immediately make Trunks way more powerful than the androids and just completely body them instantly. I tell him, come back in 3 years and you can and we can train together. Just take that power and go defeat the androids. I also give him a lot of other information that he needs to swear he keeps quiet. And he decides to be, I wonder who are we and how did we get here? And I just tell him, just trust me. Just like you were an outside force of nature that best not to just talk about so things can go smoothly. He understands that, knowing that we know he's from the future, so he decides to take his time machine and go. Vegeta looks around and thinks, what power was that? He knows it feels powerful, but he can't sense it. He doesn't know what it is. And as soon as Trunks leaves, he comes back around and questions, what is that power? I tell him, this is Super Saiyan God Key. Goku wondering about that too, because every time he keeps asking Gohan and him to do it. I tell him it's a special Saiyan ritual that only pure-hearted Saiyans are able to accomplish. Vegeta, at this point, hasn't even gone Super Saiyan, so he's basically eclipsed a mile and pretty much embarrassed. So he wants to double up on his gravity training so he can try and keep up. Now, with the kids, Aura, Starry, Luna, and Zena, all of them will have ki, and are able to fly and do all that stuff. Aura and Starry are already really powerful. They were training with us for 5 years, 5 to 10 years, and given Saiyan potential, they become really powerful. Now, they won't be major fighters in story because I want to focus more on me, Pepper, and Delta. But they are around in case we need them for future Saiyan rituals, and if we need extra fighters for a universal tournament. Now, with the Cell saga, since Dr. Gero committed his projects ahead of time, he wouldn't see me or Delta's DNA because we only appeared after Namek, and he'll only simply get King Cold's DNA. Now, since Trunks was able to deal with him much sooner, the androids would essentially be a little bit weaker, but they would be about the same level. During the time skip, this is where me and Delta and then Pepper all just train together, mastering our Super Saiyan God, mastering Super Saiyan, and mastering yellow golden Namekian. Delta and me are just fun rivals. We come around sometimes, spar every other day, every other week, and then we have a cookout. He's able to make nice clothing for the kids. We're able to cook because we're Saiyans and we love meat, and we're just able to hunt, gather food, and with our fridge we can just make as much food as we want. Now, we invite Goku and Gohan over sometimes, and I tell them about how he can teach Gohan to be a Super Saiyan, and best to do that ahead of time so he can be ready. And I teach him that the best way to use Super Saiyan is to use it on base as long as possible, because that would unlock the true Super Saiyan. He has 3 years of training while this is going on, so this Goku would be way more powerful. Now, he's asking me if, all the casual training we're doing, if we're going to be prepared for the Saiyans. Me and Delta are just, giggling and be like, that's fine, you guys can handle it. We don't really mind with that. Now, Vegeta in this timeline would be a lot more enraged and a lot more angry to surpass me. A low-class Saiyan who knows all this Saiyan lore, even more than even the Prince of all Saiyans. This is where he would like keep pushing his training more and more. So this Vegeta would be a lot stronger. He would unlock Grade 2 Super Saiyan at least before the time skip is finished. And once in a while, he would try and come up and try to like, challenge me to a fight. I ask him, I'm like, okay, you want to fight me? Beat my kids. Like, they fight you, and if you lose, you gotta stop bothering us. He takes that as a challenge and thinks, alright, we'll do it. Now, he doesn't know this, but I've been teaching the kids how to master their Super Saiyan. Both of them have already mastered Super Saiyan because they're such naturals at it, being younger Saiyans, that they were just... And we still have our tails. We've mastered them on Namek, so there's no problem on that. We have the Ikari form and everything. So they're actually way more powerful. Vegeta thinks, yeah, I could take on a boy and a little girl. She'll be easy to fight. Not knowing that Aura is a strong one of the two because Starry doesn't fight as much. She is pretty much like Caulifla, and he's more like Kale, where he's like more calm and cool collected. Aura is a tomboy, and she relishes a fight and thinks no one's gonna hurt my big brother because for some reason she calls me big brother rather than father. Because, she's a tomboy, and because Saiyans look so young, she thinks, no, you're too young to look like a dad, you're more like a big brother figure. Which Pepper finds funny, and honestly eggs on, to my annoyance. While Delta just teaches the human girls, Luna and Zena, how to use their ki, because they pretty much like the magical girls and like anime stuff like that, and the first thing everyone wants to do is learn how to fly. So Vegeta challenges the two kids to a fight, and this is where he just gets checked immediately. They don't even like pretend to power up to enjoy a fight. They just immediately knock him out together. Vegeta on the floor. We think, okay, let's heal him up. And Delta, who's gained an extra ability thanks to Super Kami Guru, is able to heal. Heals up Vegeta and then tells him, "All right, you can go now." Vegeta thinks, wait, how are you guys this powerful? And we tell him, dude, you have to be a good person to be this powerful. Your power is literally based upon rage. Which would enrage him even further, trying to throw a punch at me. And I just grab his arm and I just like snap it for a quick second, causing him pain. And then Delta just heals him up again. And I'm like, go away and go figure it out yourself. Which leaves him like, and then he leaves again. Delta's thinking, aren't we doing too much with... Delta thinking, hey, aren't we doing a little too much with this? And I'm thinking, nah, this is Vegeta. He'll figure it out someday. Goku would be questioning, why aren't like other Saiyans? Don't you enjoy the rush of a fight? And I tell him, no, I don't. I really don't. Which would confuse him. And I tell him, he thinks, all right, I guess we'll see you in like a couple years. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see you in a couple years. Now, during that time, we're just enjoying our day-to-day lives. Sure, would we go to the tournaments? No, not needed. This is where we build the clothing empire. That's right, Bulma and many ladies and men in the world just come over to our super cheap clothes beam store. We call it the Namekian Magic Store, featuring the Saiyans. Now, in this one, we're going to just, make everyone clothing. Bulba would be, like, making so many orders, and with the clothes beam, we just, pop clothing for everybody. Perfect sizes, covers all essentials, and it's very cheap. Now, this would be making tons of money. But since I already have a ton of money, thanks to my wish, it really is just more of a cover, so nobody thinks we were counterfeiting money. Now, in this time, the kids will have a little fun side adventure. The kids will be traveling the Earth because none of them really got to travel the world. Luna and Zena would see the magical girls and think, wow, wish we could be superheroes like that. Delta thinking, well, you're probably already stronger than most people in the world. Thinks maybe I can give them some cool outfits. So he, pops some cool outfits on them. Zena would have this cool, like, delinquent style outfit where she's more of like a martial artist, with like the headband, all the black outfits, looking all cool like a Yankee. Luna would instead be more like, like, look like a nice suit and tie. She's a girl, but she would have more of like a nice cool girl look. In the same breath, Aura and Starry would love to do that too. So Aura would become a magical girl Saiyan. She thinks like magical girls are so cool, fighting demons and monsters every week and not getting tired of it while still doing their homework. So she becomes a magical girl of justice. Starry would instead be a superhero. Now Gohan would love to like join in once in a while, which Chi-Chi would like think no to because it's like this is dangerous. But we would convince her that no worries, the kids are just playing around. It's nothing bad. And then thinking, oh, okay, well that's fine. But this is actually a nice way to have Gohan train with some kids of his own age, so that he can actually be more confident in sparring. Now he's much weaker than Aura and Starry, but he can definitely like take on like Luna and Zena because they're still normal humans. And this would also help with Piccolo and Goku meeting up with us, and we train with them. So Piccolo would be a lot more powerful. Piccolo would be wondering what that yellow form is every time me and Delta train together, and I tell him this is what true Namekian has. You can gain it one day if you fuse with Kami, putting that thought in his head. We won't tell him about like unlocked potentials just yet, because he doesn't really need it. Now we get into the time skip. This is where the Android saga begins, and boy, will I tell you, it will be really fast. Dr. Gero and 19 would be instantly destroyed because Goku would be way more powerful at this point. While Dr. 19 and Dr. Gero are destroyed, they're all wondering where to go. And this is where me and Delta like immediately go to the lab and just break down the door. This is where you find 17, 18, and 19. But we also go to the sub-lab, and that's when we find Cell. Instantly get rid of that new Cell, and we take the androids and we go. However, now let's add something fun. This is where 14, 15, and 13, 14, and 15 would spring out of their pods and head over to attack us. Delta thinks, wait, I thought these guys were movie villains. I'm like, yeah, I thought so too, but they are earlier numbers, so I guess they're canon now. And so we just begin to just fight off them. Now, they're not really that big of a deal, so they are just defeated instantly. But we thought, hey, that was a good surprise. Maybe we'll see more in the future. Maybe like Hirudegan would appear. And I'm like, I didn't really like that movie. And Delta's like, well, the Dragon Fist is pretty cool. Can't you do it? I'm like, well, I'm a Saiyan, so maybe. And then we just take the androids over to Bulma. Tell her to get rid of the evil programmings and do it quickly. Now, would we make our way to finding Cell? Well, he's gonna come to us. Like I would take I'll take 17. Like I'll tell Bulma is like I'll keep like 17 and I'll just teleport his pod all the way to Namek, so Cell can never become perfect. And while 18 is being worked on, we'll just go fan around the city. Now Pepper's back at home training with the kids because she would be more of like a tough, like former delinquent type mom, but she's honestly just a Saiyan that just enjoys being around the day. And then the kids would hear news of like cities disappearing. This is where they would spring into action. Yes, the kids would find Cell first before us. Piccolo would have been on Kami's lookout because he would have known the idea of fusing back with Kami, so he'd be busy. Luna and Zena find that all these people are like their closing is like here, but they're not, and Aura and Starry would be sensing this evil power. That's where Cell appears. He would sneak attack Zena and Luna, knocking them out. Starry would be wondering, oh, no, my friends, and would rush into action. This is where Cell would smack him with a tail, catching him off guard. Aura would be like, "That this is a cheap trick, demon." And Cell would be like, some powerful kids. Never met them before. And he would try to rush Aura. Aura would finally take it seriously and turn Super Saiyan and immediately clock Cell right in the face. Cell would be shocked at thinking, how is this kid so powerful? She's like way more powerful than everybody together. He tries to run away, to which Starry finally takes command and grabs him from behind. Cell would be freaking out, thinking, wait, I'm trying to become perfect. Don't you want to see perfection? And that's where Aura just pulls out a special wand beam and thinks thinks demons like you shouldn't exist. Magical girl, ki blast, and just wipes out Cell completely. This blast was strong enough to destroy Cell, but Starry was just left with some of his clothes tattered. Starry would be like, sister, we have to, my clothes, this is my nice clothes. And it's like, sorry, I guess we can ask Delta to fix it later. And Luna and Zena would be woken up after Delta would find them and heal them and be like, are you two okay? And they'd be like, yeah, just some big bug monster. Thinking, wait, where is he? And I'm like, oh, Aura defeated him. And I'm like, and she strikes a magical girl pose and says, yeah, that truth and justice always wins. And I'm just thinking, yeah, that's clearly, yeah, too much anime, I guess. And that's where Cell is defeated. Now, the Goku and Vegeta would still be like itching for a fight. So I just think, alright, let the androids go. Now 17 and 18 and 16 have all been like, their programming has released them of their evil coding from Dr. Juro. But I tell them, but this is where Goku and Vegeta decide to like have a good spar with them. Now Goku is already stronger, so he's able to beat like 17 quite easily. Vegeta is just barely stronger than 18, so that was a much closer fight, leaving him the winner. So they got that out of their system. Trunks comes back in time and sees the androids, and we tell him, okay, everything's all good. So how's your android situation? He tells him, oh, with that new power, I destroyed the androids quite easily. And I tell him, that's great. So now what you want to do? He's thinking, well, I don't know. I want to be stronger to protect my timeline, but I don't know what to do. And I tell him, well, you guys can use the hyperbolic time chamber. And Goku's thinking, oh yeah, the hyperbolic time chamber. You can get an entire year of training in there. And Vegeta thinks, alright, I want to go. I want to get stronger. So he takes his son Trunks. Now, Trunks is way more powerful than Vegeta is. So Vegeta would be getting a massive power boost. I would say he'd be around Super Saiyan 2 level by the end of this training. Well, Trunks is already like, Battle of Gods Goku level because he has Super Saiyan God. Now, Vegeta would again think that he's like more powerful than us, and I tell him, alright, do you want to face me? And he's like, yes. And then he unleashes his Master Super Saiyan, and I tell him, alright. And that's why I turned Super Saiyan God. I haven't been slouching on my training. My Super Saiyan God is mastered. And this is where I'm just like, okay, this is the last time, Vegeta. I'm getting really tired of you bothering me. Delta, get the stretcher ready. And he just makes a stretcher, thinking we're annoying him. He just uses a final flash and just blasts it straight at me. I just put my hand out and I just destroy his blast immediately. And this is where I just go and then just tap his shoulder, knocking him out, similar to how Beerus knocked out Goku in Super Saiyan 3. Vegeta's still enraged, thinking, why can't I beat you? I keep telling him, Vegeta, you're going about this alone. Me, Delta, Goku, we all made, humbled ourselves, and we took masters on ourselves. We know we're weaker than everybody. He's saying, shut up. That's weak. That's cowardly talk. I can defeat you. I just need those powers, and then it'd be even. And I tell him, all right, if that's what you think. And that's where the Cell saga ends. Destroyed Cell early, took the androids early, and saved their lives. 16 gets to live. Now, what's the aftermath of this? Well, Trunks is now way more powerful. In the future, when the Goku Black saga happens, Trunks instantly wipes Goku Black. I'll tell him, the moment you see Goku Black, you obliterate him. The moment you see Dabura and a little yellow bug thing, obliterate them. Do not even give them a chance. I would also give him an extra warning that a guy named Zamasu would be in the universe to get him a guide when they talk to Beerus. Now, this is where not much would happen after that. We'd have 7 years of free time. Me and Delta decided to go into the hyperbolic time chamber one time to finally, and I mean finally, just start training as hard as we can. Since I took the fridge in there, we can have Pepper and my Pepper as well, and have the three of us train. Delta would master his Super Namekian Gold. I would master Super Saiyan God, and I would gain Super Saiyan Blue and master that as well. Pepper would gain the same, just a little weaker, but she would still be way more powerful. Me and Delta would just be spending the entire year training, talking about our stories, like everything we enjoy about those stories, our favorite animes, having lunches, like all that stuff in one day. This is where we truly have a bond, a true bond of brothers. But we would also learn one more thing. That's right, the fusion dance. Me and Delta would practice it over and over and over again. At first, we just think it's funny, so we wouldn't work, so we would make terrible, fusions, but we think that would be funny, too. Pepper would get a good laugh. Then we would also, practice more, until one day we get it correct. It would be the perfect fusion. This is a fusion that we will use later on in the timeline against powerful foes. But that's a story for the future. And now, we'll wait for the next What If, the Majin Buu saga. Thanks for listening, everyone.